I don't really know at the moment what I want to do in particular, but I'd like to do something that makes a difference in the world. So at some point, being Prime Minister would be a great way for me to fulfill that. But, you know, in the meantime, I'd like to make my own business because I think that would allow me to have a lot more freedoms.
My dream job would be either in film or television because I like doing creative things and creating things that I know people will enjoy watching.
I would be an artist and run my own art business because I can't imagine a life without doing art.
My dream job would be going into the army as a Royal Logistics driver, and I would want to follow into my father's footsteps.
I know I definitely want to go to university. It's something I've always really wanted to do. I'm not completely 100% on what I want to do as a career yet, but I do know that I'm very passionate about the education system. I really like history and English. Those are things that I really enjoy and I really want to take into the future so I might help people out with it.
To be a Crown Prosecutor in a legal firm, as I feel like that would be a really interesting job.
My dream job would be to be an archaeologist, to go around the world and uncover fossils and just unravel history.
My dream job would be a banker because it's a job that makes you earn a lot of money.
Hello, I'm Rob Jenkins. Today we're really pleased to be announcing the launch of the Gloucestershire Careers Hub. It's a project in partnership with GFirst LEP and the Careers and Enterprise Company, and we're going to be engaging and working with schools across the county to secure the future for our young people.
I think it's important to get a job that you're passionate about because then you enjoy it so it doesn't feel like work, it's just fun, and then it will come through in what you're creating because you enjoy doing it.
If you find a job that you enjoy and if you find something that you can do day to day that you don't see as work, then it will be much easier to actually complete it.
You're proving to yourself that you have the ability to do it and you've also got the motivation to do it, and that it is possible.
You don't want to be stuck in a line of work for many years that you don't enjoy.
Because then you'll be able to apply yourself better to the job.
You don't want to live your life be miserable going into a job you hate.
I don't think you can excel in something that you don't like, so you have to enjoy your days at that job to do well in it.
For those of you who don't know much about GFirst LEP, now we're going to tell you a little bit more about our work.
That's a really interesting question. I would describe GFirst LEP as a partnership between the local authority and businesses for the people that live and breathe in the county.
The local enterprise partnership drives economic growth for Gloucestershire and indeed the UK.
The different departments and the different spokes within the LEP look at all of the elements of Gloucestershire.
So we work with the private sector, the public sector and the voluntary and community sector to do everything we can to make Gloucestershire's economy the most vibrant it possibly can be.
Every economic area in England has got a LEP that's responsible for it.
There's only 38 of us across England and they all have their own USPs too.
We're a bit different, we're a bit special because our responsibilities go beyond the economic. I think we really recognise that for Gloucestershire to work and to be successful, it's the whole picture, it's a holistic thing.
The idea really is to actually have the voice of business recognised locally.
Then I think it's breaking down what economic growth looks like. Naturally, a lot of people think, well, it's just money, it's big business. Actually, the depths of it is very much it's infrastructure, it's what's here, it's what's available to the people within Gloucestershire.
So our funding comes from a mix, so we're coming towards the end of a £500 million investment package for Gloucestershire. About £150 million comes from the UK government and from the European Union. The rest comes from a mixture of the private sector and the public sector investing in the programmes and the schemes that we put forward.
Funding bids from central government come through us, so we'll help local companies with bids that then go through to Westminster and then come back through us to project manage. So you'll see GFirst LEP on a lot of roundabouts. We're working on the Gloucester train station as well at the moment. So there are lots of projects that have got our name on it because we project manage it and we're the kind of conduit for that funding.
We know that business people in Gloucestershire are really passionate about the county and that they want to see investment here and they want to see things work here, not just for them but for their families and for young people in Gloucestershire.
Things like the local industrial strategy that the LEP has worked on over the last couple of years skills and skills development are really key to achieving those goals, and what we really need to do is to make sure that we are giving young people those opportunities and those skills.
We're lucky to be part of the education team, working with schools and colleges and those establishments that support that educational learning.
Skill development, job development, what's there available for the next generation people to come into, to move into, and what those key sectors that we really specialise in as well, and how do people know about those, and how do they get access to those.
My work with GFirst LEP started when I started to look at our careers provision, and I reached out to the LEP, having done a compass evaluation to start with, for some support, and the work that I do and the discussions that I've had with Rob in particular has actually taken it a step further than I ever thought it would, and I think that's what's appealed to me the most, because actually that strategic work, which wasn't what I was looking for in the first place, has had a huge impact on the work that we do.
Before 2 years ago, I can honestly say that I hadn't really heard of GFirst LEP or what LEPs were. So having those introductions and seeing what they can offer to public sector as well as private sector and voluntary groups was very exciting for me at the time, and it's just evolved from there.
As Chief Executive of the Local Enterprise Partnership, obviously we take overall responsibility for the Careers Hub and for it being successful for Gloucestershire.
It's also about how we put that message through our skills and up therefore through the Careers Hub to ensure that we are creating jobs for the future. And that's absolutely critical, but it has to be really in tandem with what our vision and mission is for Gloucestershire.
So I am absolutely committed to making sure that our education and skills team have the resources that they need to make the Careers Hub successful, and have the support from our board, from our business groups, from businesses right across Gloucestershire, and of course from schools and young people to make the Careers Hub successful.
Literally the sky's the limit on what we can do.
It's about making Gloucestershire better.
My dream job would be either presenting or working on the live TV set.
Be a hairdresser because I did work experience at a hairdresser and I really enjoyed it.
To work as an engineer for a team in Formula 1.
Probably something that helps people like teaching, and maybe in like third world countries.
I would like to work with animals, anything with animals, whether that is in a pet shop or in a vet or just volunteering.
A professional basketball captain.
I would like to be a teacher because I like to pass on my knowledge.
A design engineer.
Something related to psychology because it's something that I find interesting.
I would be a paramedic.
The Careers Hub will be made up of a number of different elements, and we will be exploring what these are with you today.
How would I describe the Careers Hub? I would describe it as a collaboration between schools and colleges within the county and the businesses that serve the county.
It's about some really in-depth relationships with schools, with their senior leadership, with business people.
I envision the two to come together to learn and develop with one another, but ultimately with the young people at the heart.
And then adding to that then the expertise of the private sector, the public sector and the third sector, and fusing all of those different elements together so that what it then leads to is that young people have those authentic experiences about what the workplace could look like for them and where the opportunities lie.
The idea is really to promote careers to them, to actually provide the support that they need to actually link up between schools and businesses, to share good practice.
And so really I think that in essence the Careers Hub is a place that you draw together all of those different synergies and really make it happen.
It's really connecting in with businesses, whether they can provide a work placement or a sort of tour of their workplace, a CV workshop. It could be anything. They could be really innovative with what they can offer.
So with the new Career Hub, we've got that engagement with the schools. So we're, those interviews and those introductions are already set up. So it's a perfect opportunity for us to be able to get in front of the head teachers and to get in front of the pupils and to be able to tell them about the opportunities that we have.
The Careers Hub is there to help nurture those desires, but it's also about ensuring that Gloucestershire is a great place to live And by that I don't mean just living in a nice house, I mean that there's plenty of places to go out and exercise and enjoy the countryside. It's about having innovative workspace, it's about having affordable housing, but it's also about the skills they receive.
We're in the third wave of Careers Hub, so there have been pilot studies in other parts of the country. It's worked. Westminster have chosen this as the real model that they want to drive forward. Careers Enterprise Company is really good at sharing that best practice as well, so they're giving us a huge amount of support to do that.
The Careers Enterprise Company was set up by government in 2016 to be a disruptor in the careers industry. The diagnostics had showed that whilst careers education was widespread across the country, it was really patchy and patterned and the quality quite variable. And so our initial remit was simply to increase the number and range of employers engaging in careers education in schools and in colleges. So we're government funded, and the Department for Education believed that our model is effective. So 2 years ago, they asked us to expand our remit and develop the hub model, taking to scale a small pilot of just 13 schools in the North East, which had seen some really promising results. In developing the network of careers hubs over the last 2 years, we've seen that hubs have been a game changer in the way that careers provision is improving, with schools collaborating and employers engaging. And never before has there been such strong coordination nationally that's driving system change. Our relationship with the Gloucestershire LEP is absolutely critical to this work. Partnering with local enterprise partnerships ensures that careers education is rooted in local economic plans. And this means that the hub equips schools with relevant labour market information and to understand the local economic context so that young people have the most up-to-date information and are immersed in this by meeting relevant employers throughout their education.
Where we come in and where the LEP comes in is that really key local knowledge and understanding our landscape.
We already have great links with schools. It's taken time to develop those schools and colleges. We have a strong network. The Careers Hub is very much about condensing that, creating a really tight collaborative group of schools and colleges that come in together with the same goals, the same objectives.
Obviously there's challenge with that at the moment, so I think a big part of the work that we'll be doing is to help those links between schools and businesses to continue, but to do it virtually and to find ways that young people could still get those experiences of the workplace locally without actually physically going there.
As a media lecturer at Gloucestershire College, the Career Hub will really support myself and my students because it will be a really good place to be able to direct our students to with regards to careers advice, support with CV writing, developing interview skills, and just an opportunity in place where they can go outside of the college grounds to develop those professional practice skills.
The success of the Careers Hub really will be driven by the engagement of business community.
It's really important for us that we really analyse our county. We are made up of a high proportion of SMEs, and that's the nature of Gloucestershire, and it's really important to have the voice of those smaller businesses on board and to get them involved if that's the makeup of the county.
We can do all the school stuff, we can work with the students, we can work with the kind of SLT of the schools, but actually what's going to make it an outstanding success for Gloucestershire is that real business engagement.
The more the merrier. People from the creative sector, the travel sector, the retail sector, the finance sector, you name it, anyone can get involved.
So the Careers Hub is an absolutely vital cog in our local industrial strategy. So our local industrial strategy has a real focus on attracting more young people into this county. And if we're going to do that, we've got to provide services like a Careers Hub where they can get great quality advice and guidance and access to businesses who can enthuse them and engage them and create that ambition and that drive in our young people to have great successful careers in Gloucestershire.
I'm Rob Jenkins, I head up the Education and Skills team here at GFirst LEP, and I'm also the new Careers Hub Manager.
I'm David Owen and I'm Chief Executive of GFirst Local Enterprise Partnership.
My name's Diane Savoury, I chair the GFirst Local Enterprise Partnership.
I'm Pete Carr, I'm GFirst's Director of Employment and Skills.
My name's Duncan Willoughby.
I'm Alex King.
Roxy Garnham.
I'm Lauren Greening, I'm an Enterprise Coordinator here at GFirst LEP, and my role works with the special schools and the alternative provision schools.
So the role of the Enterprise Coordinator, I like to think, is the filling In a sandwich, the two bits of bread are the schools and the business, and it's just bringing them together to bring about collaboration for the young people, to provide them with opportunities that potentially they haven't had before.
My role works with the high needs students within the specialist provisions in Gloucestershire. So the special needs students, or the students that are in pupil referral units, so haven't worked in mainstream schools particularly well, and are taken out of that environment into a smaller setting to have more specialised provision for their learning, really. And my role works with the careers leaders in those schools to support them with their careers activities and programmes, and helping them branching out in their communities and linking better with employers.
So in terms of our team, obviously we have a careers hub leader, we have the enterprise coordinators, but we can't really get very far without the tremendous work of the volunteers that we've got, the enterprise advisors, those people who are giving of their time and going to work in schools, aligning what they can do in the workplace to supporting the careers leaders in schools.
I think what surprises people when they see the impact that the Local Enterprise Partnership has had in Gloucestershire over the last decade is that we're a relatively small team of people, that we rely on lots of support from businesses and from our local authority partners and from our education partners, and that we've got a relatively small budget that we're spending as well. And I think that surprises people, that we're a team of 25 people who've made a massive impact on Gloucestershire that I'm really proud of, and I know the team are really proud of. The things that we've achieved, the new programmes that we've seen come on board in the last 10 years, the new developments that we've seen happen as a result of the work that team's done. What we now know more than ever before is that young people need the right advice, the right guidance, the right opportunities to make sure that they can have really successful and rewarding careers.
For me personally, I'm really passionate about young people and working with young people within the county.
I think longer term, I've always been interested in roles about helping people to develop their skills.
I really enjoy supporting education. I'm passionate about what's on offer for students, you know, and supporting them to get there.
Our young people are the workforce of the future.
They will be the ones that really sort of create and make this an exceptional, interesting century.
And actually I want to be part of that journey with them and helping them in whatever stages they take and whatever path they take along that journey.
Honestly, I love my job. If we get it right, we change lives. I have a huge amount of respect for teachers. You know, they've got the toughest job and they do it amazingly. And that eventually brought me to the LEP, which really pulled together my real passions of education and supporting young people through those kind of transitional phases.
I was brought up in Gloucestershire, I went to Gloucestershire schools. It means something to me to be part of a movement in Gloucestershire that's improving young people's lives and opportunities and outcomes.
So the thing that really drives me is actually when we can take young people in Gloucestershire and we can open their eyes to the opportunities that are here, and that they can understand that they can build great, successful careers here, that they can also be passionate about.
They will be the creators of those new jobs. They're the ones that should actually be bouncing the mirror back and actually saying, these are the things we're good at, what can we do with them? And you as companies, how can you use us? How can you actually harvest that energy and those new ideas and those cutting edge ideas?
And it's about being aware of what the next step could be and actually doing the work that you need to do to get to the next step, to open up those possibilities.
The Careers Hub can just strengthen that cause, really.
We have to provide them with the tools and with the direction to help them get there.
And so the Careers Hub can start to open up those opportunities for young people of the fantastic jobs that there are in Gloucestershire and the opportunities that there are for them.
I always remember driving through Painswick Beacon the first time I ever came into Gloucestershire and just thinking, wow, this place is stunning. I'm going to come and live here, and that's what I've done 32 years ago.
Favourite thing about living in Gloucestershire is that brilliant mix of two really vibrant urban centres and the beautiful countryside that we've got all around the county.
I really see Gloucestershire as a positive county to live and work in.
It's so varied.
It's got an amazing, vibrant economy.
There's just a different life here.
I actually think it's a really amazing county.
We know our county better than any other.
We have some of the best, by all different levels of performance measures, some of the best schools and colleges within the country.
There's pockets of activity in the hub everywhere.
Just the whole mix of rural and urban county, it provides incredible variety.
Within the space of an hour you can travel around and see so many different experiences.
We're so close to big cities. We've got Bristol and Birmingham, but also we've got the countryside, we've got the Forest of Dean, we've got Wales not that far away, we've got the Cotswolds as well. It's like this little, the epicentre of everything.
Gloucestershire's special because it has so many opportunities that people don't realise.
There's a different side to Gloucestershire, that sort of hustle and bustle that potentially those bigger cities have. We are dynamic, and the industries that we have within the county are really cool.
We've also got big cyber industry that work closely with the LEP, but also work closely with schools around within the county that provide huge opportunities for people.
The beauty of it is really being able to bring about those voices and really develop Gloucestershire for those pockets of people, but collectively too.
The long-term future of Gloucestershire is really positive.
Particularly with technology, to move forward into that fourth industrial revolution and make things happen, make things change.
There's a lot happening in towns like Cheltenham and Stroud and Gloucester.
Be excited about the future. There's a whole range of opportunity out there.
And that's where engaging with partners and employers as part of the hub is really important, and that's part of our job. It's not just giving them the key, it's showing them how to unlock the door with that as well.
Well, like now, obviously there's the global pandemic, and I think that really affects it because it makes it really difficult to go out and do an apprenticeship.
There's a lot of job cuts and things like that, and I also feel like grading university might also be a bit of a difficult one because a lot of universities have very strong entrance criteria. That means some places won't take me to get on that course.
Certain qualifications might stop me from going all the way, but also knowing where to start to look.
Not getting the right A-levels to get into uni, or not being confident enough to be a teacher.
What grades I get would dictate which university I get into, and that degree will hold quite a lot of prestige in the law firm.
My Tourette's, because I could possibly make a lab noise or a sudden movement and scare the animals.
Getting experience out there, but the main thing I think would be the biggest hindrance to mine is me. Like, if I overcome my problems, I feel like I can get the job that I want.
Well, obviously we're in the midst of a pandemic at the moment, and that's a massive challenge for Gloucestershire.
The economic recovery and the response to COVID-19 is going to form a huge, huge part of our work.
The real challenge is understanding what are the changes that we're going to see in our economy over the course of the next 12 or 18 months. And what are the jobs that are going to be created from that, but also what are the jobs we're going to lose.
The sectors, the skills, we're largely made up of SMEs.
Hospitality, tourism, retail have all been hit badly. So, and we know that that's a significant part of the local economy. We know that the sectors that are most hit are actually the ones that traditionally young people have gone into for their first jobs and for building up the transferable skills.
A large part of what we do is allowing students and schools to have access to business and understanding that world of work where they can't go out and experience that through work experience or shadowing or those kind of opportunities. It's looking at how we can get around that and thinking outside the box.
There are opportunities, however. We are seeing some companies turning their businesses around to suit changed environments, and therefore, again, we'll need possibly a changed skill set.
You know, one of the challenges is we've got strategic plans to grow, particularly the cyber and digital sector, and also the low carbon renewable retrofitting sector in the county.
But we are in a very lucky position in Gloucestershire to have opportunity particularly again around cyber, because it's a new sector for the UK and it will just enable us to leverage jobs.
And a big part of our job, I think, and the work of the Careers Hub is really to help people see those opportunities.
I think time is going to be really important and going to be really crucial. I think that's something that I've identified as a challenge. Schools are absolutely up against it. They are supporting the young people the best they can.
Staff and people working in schools are being pulled in all directions. There's definitely issues around transport opportunity, students being able to get to places, see places. The media is full of terror and job losses and businesses closing, so I think actually future could look really uncertain and quite scary for a lot of students. London, there's obviously going to be an abundance of those opportunities, yes, there's going to be key hubs for that, but that's not saying that within Gloucestershire those aren't available as well. Schools and colleges don't have the direct time to dig out those companies, and those companies don't have the, maybe the staff and resource as well to give to the education. Some of the best creative industries in Gloucestershire are those smaller businesses, and it's getting them access to the students and getting the students access to them as well.
But there's so many hidden gems in our county alone and so many hidden jobs that actually this is the opportunity to showcase what is actually out there, to change their thinking and actually to see that this is giving us an opportunity in a moment for pause and change.
It's going to be a challenge, but how businesses can support and get involved with that, I think that's where we can support and help. And if we can encourage one business to do that and they talk to two businesses, brilliant. But I really see time as being quite a significant challenge.
This is very much about making sure that our young people understand that we're listening to them, that their opinion matters, and not only does it matter that we will act on those opinions. We're not just a talking shop or a listening shop. We will take action on what they say they need and require for their futures.
Things that would stand in my way would probably be actually acquiring the experience needed to apply for such a job and the tough competition that would probably be present when applying.
If I don't work well with other people, because engineering is a group project.
Fitness and qualifications of the Army's expectations.
The competition response. With only 20 teams on the grid, spaces for engineers are limited, so you'd have to really stand out to be successful.
Probably a physical injury, because I do a lot of rugby.
I'm musical theatre, I have very limited dance experience, and that definitely is something that's needed.
Getting my A-levels, getting into the uni of choice and getting my degree.
Homesickness and obviously exam results, because you need good results to do teaching.
Careers advice and strategies within schools hadn't really changed for the last 20 or 30 years. It was essentially a teacher that had time on their curriculum having those talks with students, and there wasn't a huge amount of depth behind that.
I think the other thing as well is just that there are significantly more pathways, careers pathways for them to go. So actually I think a lot of businesses do need to kind of take that on board and actually think about how they're going to attract young people, because I think certainly for some of them it's going to be competitive for them to attract the right young people.
I think it's a role they should be doing. If any business that's looking to progress and maintain their business and growth, they need to be investing in the young people that are going to be then moving into there and working with them, so it's very much in their interest to do it, and I think part of their duty to do it as well. The system runs better when there's collaboration there. I think it makes no sense for their businesses not to link with schools and schools and colleges, and the schools and colleges not to link with the businesses.
I think it's really important that we collaborate because we can learn from each other. We all have very different minds and our ways of working are all completely different.
The careers work we're doing at the moment is more about empowering children and young people to be able to make the choices that are right for them, to be flexible with those choices and to think about the range of opportunities that are available for them.
And helping them to get closer to going into work, whether that's been building confidence, developing particular skills that they might need to get into work.
I think the excitement about the Careers Hub is the opportunity to do more networking.
We've exceeded all our expectations. So we were tasked with having 35 schools in our hub to begin with. We're actually starting with 43, which is amazing, and it just kind of shows the appetite that's there with the schools. So in terms of overarching priority or targets, that's our target, to have every state-funded school in Gloucestershire within our network.
So having an opportunity to work with colleagues in other schools, to share good practice and share ideas, but more importantly, that idea that we're going to share and link with industry, and that those industry links are going to be more obvious than they would have been historically.
Because there's a danger that if you don't harness that energy, you become stale and your whole economy becomes stale. And I think, again, that's really exciting that young people have a major role in educating people like myself, the older workers in the workforce, and bringing that vibrancy and new ideas to the forefront and being the creators of the new things that are out there. And I think sometimes young people miss that. They think they're waiting to be told, but it's really exciting when you have young people taken out of that box and allowed to sort of let fly and come up with all those really new ideas. And we in our team have seen that so many times, where there's some fantastic things at the cutting edge that young people are coming up with, and they just need that oxygen to sort of expand and move forward.
It is all combined, and it's about helping those young people to be more well-rounded and better citizens, really.
Look at the end goal. The end goal is the young people, supporting them to make the best decisions for them.
I'm good at geography, or I'm good at history, or whatever it happens to be. What use would that be in the real world then? Where are you going to apply yourself and those skills?
So I think the real benefit for us of a Careers Hub is the new information that we'll get from young people about what their aspirations are.
Getting that feedback from young people once they've kind of had the benefit of the hub and we've had some impact on their lives, getting them to feedback about what we've done. What worries you most about your future prospects? It'd be nice in a few years' time to ask the question, how do you think your future prospects have been helped?
Fundamentally, it's to achieve these 8 Gatsby benchmarks, which are the foundation for good careers practice for education.
The Gatsby Educational Foundation was tasked to come up with a set of benchmarks, which they did, and there were 8 of them, and they say that if a school is reaching each of these 8 benchmarks, then they've got a really good career strategy.
Loads of research went into looking at those benchmarks and what is good and what is kind of that ideal career structure, so to speak.
It really allows the work that we're doing with the schools to be specific, to be measurable, and to see how things change within the terms, whether progress is made or we step back one step, but that's okay. Having those benchmarks there allows us to work towards something that is achievable, is sustainable.
They're really good. Each marker has an independent element to it, but they all then coalesce into the greater whole. And it's a really good how to do careers education. Each Gatsby has its own uniqueness about its focus, but it leads a school to be able to look at how it does things and think, okay, that fits into that compartment really well, that fits into that compartment really well. When we bring all of those pieces together, actually, we got a cracking careers education programme. And actually, we didn't need to think as hard as we thought about it. We were doing it. It's just interpreting what we've already been doing.
That's benchmark 1 is about creating a stable careers programme. So that's the strategic benchmark. It's about, have they got a plan in place? Does everyone know what that plan is? Is it written down? Is it on the website? Have you got the governor's approval? It's a very strategic benchmark, making sure we've got kind of that ground level stuff in place in order for the other benchmarks to kind of roll on from it.
Benchmark 2 is all about labour market information. So it's finding out about what does the labour market actually look like? What do people do every day in Britain and internationally? What metrics do we use there? You know, where do the statistics come from? So benchmark 2 is all about how you can learn from the labour market and inform people to say, do you know what, X amount of people do this in X amount of parts of the country. You know, is it something that I'd like to do, and do I want to move to that part of the country to go and do it?
Number 3, addressing the needs of each pupil. It's kind of, as it says on the tin, within a school or college you have a wealth of students, whoever that might be, wherever they've come from, what their skills are, and 3 is very much about addressing all of them as individuals and providing opportunities and engagement for all of them as well.
Oh, benchmark 4 is my favourite benchmark. I was in a meeting with a careers leader last week and I said benchmark 4 is my favourite, and she said never say that, it's not cool. it's not cool. But benchmark 4 for me is a really important benchmark. It's really crucial. It's careers in the curriculum. It's making sure that where lessons are being taught, where learning is being inputted to the young people, that actually careers is weaved throughout that. I think it's a really key benchmark, particularly with what's happening with COVID-19. Schools don't have the time and it's not a priority for them. So actually, how can we be creative? How can we think about a maths lesson differently? Is there anyone in business that can potentially support that maths lesson? Is there an activity that we can potentially plug in? So where they're in a lesson, whether that be maths, geography, English, science, it's really making sure that the young people link that with a specific career or skills that would support a career within that sector. I think being able to be really creative through that benchmark is really important. It's going to be really key throughout this academic year, and it's really going to support not only benchmark 4 but the other benchmarks as well. I think that's how we're going to make sure that careers remains front and centre for these young people. So benchmark 4 I think is so crucial.
5 is employer encounters. This could be anything from a Q&A session to an interview like we're doing today. It could be workshops and anything where a student is engaging with an employer to discuss industry, employment, business. Could be CV, workshop, etc. So anything where there's that two-way interaction between student and employer. Most of the time it happens within the school. So, a lot of the work that the schools do will be, employers will come in and provide workshops or activity sessions for the students, take them through their work or what they do.
When we look at Gatsby 6, we're looking at about how young people encounter business, but in a very specific way, and that is through work experience. And in the times that we're in at the moment, that's thinking about not the physical experience of going into work experience, but having to be virtual experiences so that actually you still have an authentic encounter with a business, but you're not actually physically in the business.
7 is encounters with further and higher education, so helping students with their next steps after school. What that looks like, apprenticeships, college, sixth form, whatever it might be. There's so many different opportunities and providers out there, and it's up to the schools to kind of put things in place to support the students with making those decisions.
Benchmark 8 is personal guidance, so it's really giving that young person the opportunity, the time, the space, the breathing time to really explore all of their options, speaking to someone that is unbiased, non-judgmental, doesn't really know them, and can give an outside perspective looking in, support to go away and research. Actually, is there a business that individual might know, and can put that young person in contact with that business to ask some key questions, and giving the young person an opportunity to reflect on those encounters and reflect on their careers journey throughout their academic history, if you like. So I think that's really important for the young person to have that time to reflect.
So yeah, Gatsby benchmarks.
The Careers Hub is made up of a number of different elements, including cornerstone employers, enterprise advisors and a steering group. And here's a little bit more information about each of them.
We have a fantastic bunch of enterprise advisors.
We can't really get very far without the tremendous work of the volunteers that we've got, the enterprise advisors.
Enterprise advisors, they are people from business who are volunteers.
That come from all different aspects, all different walks of life, different sectors throughout the county and beyond.
The role of the enterprise advisor is very much to work closely with a school, helping them to develop a career plan which will prepare students for the real world of work.
They are matched with a school and they strategically work with that school to support the careers activity in that institution.
As an enterprise advisor, we can use our business experience and our professional networks to help to develop and implement an effective career strategy.
So the EAs look at our plans, to look at where we are against Gatsby, to look at the Compass Plus tool, and to evaluate what we need in order to be able to move on and to continue to improve.
I think it will give a well-structured and professional approach, a forum for collaboration and an opportunity to share knowledge, experience and best practice.
Schools within the hub will see, hopefully, an immediate upturn in the support they're given across all of the benchmarks.
It's their work that really ignites the Careers Hub, the expertise that they can bring from their various sectors and how they network with other people and make it happen.
Traditionally, I think careers work in school would sit within a school, and schools historically would have been very much islands in the way that they work.
I think the Career Hub is going to be an amazing asset to Gloucestershire because it will bring businesses, schools and career leads together, working towards one shared vision.
The most important information about the labour markets comes from the people who are working in that market themselves. So having a range of EAs who can support schools has changed the way that we think about things.
They know their business, they know the business world, and actually they're experts in that field, so what can they bring to a school that perhaps they haven't had the time to implement or thought about? So that role is just an incredible role. Without them, none of this would happen.
It also provides me with an opportunity to give back to the community, which is incredibly important to me personally and professionally.
We've got a really good strategy, we just have to work through that strategy with them.
So as opposed to just coming in again and looking at provision or looking at individual tasks that they can do, they're looking at, with a strategic perspective, at what we're trying to achieve as a school.
They could perhaps sponsor competitions, provide projects, again bringing the curriculum to life.
But more often than not, our enterprise advisors work operationally as well. They like to have that kind of hands-on experience, which then helps inform the strategic work that they do.
And my favourite part of the role is really getting stuck in.
They really challenge the school and ask them to think in new and innovative ways that perhaps we haven't thought about before.
I think it's hugely important because it validates the work that we're doing.
We also have people called Give an Hour, so they literally just give an hour of their time, so they might invite the students into their premises to have a tour or a workshop and that kind of thing, or they could go into a school or virtually to support the students and open their eyes to the world of work.
Our careers leaders in schools and colleges across Gloucestershire, the people that we engage with on a day-to-day basis that make it happen in their schools.
Every school and college should have a careers leader assigned. It was brought in 2017, part of the new careers strategy from government. The role is very much to provide consistency and structure for careers education within the school. The holy grail, I guess, is that we have a group of individuals within that educational institution that we can work with. So it could be the careers lead, a member from the senior leadership team, and then potentially a link from the governor as well, so we can cover all grounds really within that school.
Careers is really important in schools, particularly special schools. Our children, we like them to have aspirations. We want them to know what's out there for them. It's really important that they identify themselves as a member of the workforce in the future.
Careers leader at Ribston Hall in particular is an interesting role. It's working very closely with other members of staff. We have a careers team in school. We have a dedicated member of staff, Ms Haynes, who leads our careers work in school, and my job is to sort of strategically overview that, is to look at what's happening, what the provision is across the school, what the provision is in specific year groups and specific key stages, and ensure that we're meeting not only the Gatsby benchmarks, but more specifically what is right and suitable for our young people in our school, to make sure that they're empowered and confident to be able to move forward into their careers as they leave school.
I like being able to support the whole network within Gloucestershire and, you know, potentially influence a lot of students.
I think careers is about giving people choice and options and ideas and opening their eyes to what's there, not telling them what they should or shouldn't do. So actually a huge amount of our work is about saying this option, that option, they're all available to you, whether it's universities, whether it's looking at apprenticeships, whether it's directly into employment, whether it's employment at 30, and a completely different way of looking at things than it would have been before. Actually, we want our girls to really be able to think and to look out and look openly at what's available to them.
I hope in that we start to develop that understanding with the staff within schools and then naturally the students underneath them, to see that they're not on their own, and then I hope that it can provide positive change.
The Leeds School is demonstrating to other schools within the hub, and also schools outside of our hub as well, that they have demonstrated best practice in careers education.
It's certainly not to say this is the best way of doing it and look at us, aren't we fantastic. The role of the Leeds School is to support other schools in looking at those opportunities and what's available to them.
It's someone that can also challenge and identify where best practice is happening, and actually use that best practice to support other schools where perhaps they need that support.
They've understood and interpreted the Gatsby benchmarks as the framework, but they've got the spirit of what careers education really is about. And that is a multi-tiered and multi-layered experience that they can then export to other schools and say, hey, this works, you know, don't try and reinvent the wheel. We can actually show you how we've made it happen.
The job of a school is to empower young people to be able to go on and lead their lives in a positive way and lead successful lives. And what we've really noticed is that changing. As a Leeds school within the hub, showing that story and that journey that we've taken, sharing that with others and sharing that idea of it's okay to change and adapt and to be different is really what I think we'll bring to the piece.
As part of the governance of the hub, we're setting up a steering group.
And that's going to be made up of a variety of individuals.
Where we've invited key people from the county.
You know, from education, voluntary, business, etc.
At least 2, probably 3 of those members of the steering group also sit on the Gloucestershire Skills Advisory Board. You know, that's been forming for quite a while now, and it's starting to coalesce into a really great network as well. We want it to be a really genuinely challenging group of people that know the county really well, that understand what the priorities are.
To oversee what we're doing, make sure what we say we're doing, we actually do.
To essentially join and form a governing body, which will hold us to account, which will challenge us.
And I think it's key to have many heads in that group to be able to provide real variety in what we're offering as well to the schools.
And so the conversations that we'll be having in the steering group as part of the Careers Hub will absolutely inform.
A lot of what we're looking at the minute is developing, it could be resource or activities. Schools and colleges are obviously incredibly keen to provide the best opportunities for their students. However, there are boundaries within school and colleges, whether that's resource, time, whatever it could be.
And it's a kind of key players from the county talking about their industries and the challenges that they're facing, and kind of bringing that conversation to the LEP. That allows us to then go back out and challenge them. It's okay, well, you're identifying skill shortages, what are you doing about it?
These clusters of groups that are going to really help to support the movement of it, make sure we're tackling the right things as well, and keeping on path really with what the county needs, what the students need.
GROWS is a partnership of the 6 universities and colleges in Gloucestershire.
The GROWS project supports young people going into university.
It's our mission to provide impartial information and unique events to the young people of the county.
Or even the inspiration to apply for it in the first place when that might not be something that's happened in their family.
Nobody in my family's gone to university yet. I'm the first in my family to go, so it's sort of a bit of a learning curve really. So I've always wanted to be a doctor. I've always been interested in helping people in science. My mum's a childminder, which I know isn't really the same thing, but I just want to help people. I'd love to be a paediatric doctor, working with kids as well. I think that would be really nice. I've done a lot of workshops with GROWS. It's really nice to start that conversation about higher education, because I think quite frequently you just concentrate on high school until you get to year 12, and then everybody's like, you need to apply to uni now. You don't really know what you're doing, so I think it was really nice to have that periodically throughout your school career. You can have that conversation about student finance, about where you want to go, about what you need to do to get there, and it was really nice to feel more informed than I would have been otherwise.
So Cornerstone employers are organisations that have demonstrated how they've already been working with schools, how they've demonstrated best practice, how they've been there as really the creators of interface between businesses and schools. And very often those businesses are people that have got a real pedigree in that. They've found ways to bridge the gap between business and education, to make the experience not just an authentic one in terms of young people encountering business people and their stories and what they do, but also doing it in a way that actually it's an educational experience.
They will look across all of the Gatsby benchmarks, see how well we're performing throughout those Gatsby benchmarks, and actually identify any gaps and any activities that could enhance that provision.
Cornerstone employers will provide an enterprise advisor, so one of their members of staff to work with the school. They have the opportunity to have a really tangible effect on the development of the hub.
We've decided to become a Cornerstone employer simply because of the alignment of the aims and objectives through the centre, through our business with KW Bell Group, and through what the Career Hub can offer. It's an obvious decision for us, and one which we grasp with both hands as quickly as we possibly could.
There's some leading businesses that are at the forefront of this educational link. There's some people doing some great work. Some of those hopefully will become Cornerstone employers, and then we're aware, even from working at the college, I see some of those names that constantly come up. I think some key gap areas are the SMEs, those smaller companies.
Educators will sit on one side and businesses will sit on the other, and they don't always talk the same language. The Cornerstone employers are the ones that have got that sort of elixir, they've got that magic, it's working, it's really coming together. And that can be as simple as having a particular activity that is formatted in a way that teachers understand, but also it fits neatly into the curriculum and young people can see that it's actually a learning experience as opposed to just meeting somebody that they didn't know before.
Because actually what's key to the success of this is getting the county involved. And businesses are really, really key to that.
From a young person's perspective, I think they, without sounding too twee, they're absolutely the future of the county.
So it's important to get them ready to be involved and be part of that labour market or whatever part of the community they're in the future.
Ultimately, we're here for the county, we serve the county, and those young people will hopefully be growing up within the county and remain in the county.
And so the Careers Hub can start to open up those opportunities for young people of the fantastic jobs that there are in Gloucestershire and the opportunities that there are for them.
Traditionally, I think you would earmark a job or a sector, and you would maybe do some psychometric testing, or you would do a piece of work that would drive someone towards that, and they would sort of almost be pigeonholed into that area. The world's an ever-evolving place. It's changing constantly at the moment, and the world as it is now is certainly a very different place to it was 12 months ago, let alone 8 or 10 years ago.
Over the last couple of months in particular, they are thinking more about their future because everything seems so uncertain.
The real challenge is understanding what are the changes that we're going to see in our economy over the course of the next 12 or 18 months, and what are the jobs that are going to be created from that, but also what are the jobs we're going to lose. And so it's really important now that we've got a careers hub that offers really great current advice and guidance to young people so that they can be set up and lined up ready for those jobs that are going to come out of the end of this process.
Biggest challenge post-COVID will be jobs as furlough comes to an end, albeit a gig economy, albeit an economy where one job isn't necessarily a job for life. It still will upend things. We've traditionally in Gloucestershire had very low unemployment rates compared to the rest of the country, but already we're in mid-November seeing those unemployment rates rise.
And by taking their views on and really listening to what's important and what's important right now will help us predict or potentially develop different projects throughout the county that will support exactly what they're telling us.
I'm always impressed with the way that young people actually voice their opinions and really explain clearly what they want, the sort of careers they want. And I think the sort of strong values that a lot of them have got around the whole green agenda and the future ethical ways of working, I think they've got it spot on, and we need to find those opportunities for them in the county to go into that sort of work.
I don't think they are lost. I think it's uncertain, and that's why they might seem lost, but actually there's so many different things out there, and they're learning more about what's out there and have a vested interest in what is out there because they know it's going to impact them at some point.
But right now it's helping young people navigate their way through the crisis like we all are. One thing that's getting bandied around a huge amount at the moment is calling it a lost generation. It can't be a lost generation. We can't let it happen because it's not too late. There are things we can do, and that's why, another phrase that's been bandied around, it's really never been more important to get this right now. The Careers Hub coming on board for GFirst now is perfect timing.
And it will just enable us to leverage jobs for all, really, of all ages.
Hey! I'm excited about this. Really? I don't know.
Green.
Vibrant.
Green.
Countryside.
Greenery.
Beautiful.
Varied.
Positivity.
Innovative.
Oh no, I was going to say positivity for that one too. Flexible.
Innovative.
Excitement.
Impressive.
Dynamic.
No, actually, no. Supportive.
Positive.
Awesome.
Bright.
Very exciting.
Unwritten.
Positive.
Young people.
Green.
Certain.
Changing.
A change.
Game-changing.
Ambitious.
Opportunity.
Innovative.
Exciting.
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 Dynamic.
Can I have two words and have the best?
I'm going to say responsibility. We have a responsibility to young people.
Opportunity.
The future. That's two words, but it's allowed.
Future.
The future.
Important. Oh no, the future. The future. Yeah, the future. Have you got that?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's say it again.
The future. It's really important for us to listen to young people. They are the future of our county.
It's important to me to do something I love so I can encourage others to go into it, because if I'm passionate about something, then I'll be able to fully show others the interest in it.
Because you would give it your full throttle and you would give it everything you can do.
So I think it's good to every day have a job that you're passionate about rather than going into work thinking that you hate this.
Because then I won't look back at my life and say, oh, what have I done the last 20 years?
If you're working in a place where you're not very passionate about what you're doing, life just becomes really mundane and dull, and you don't really want to go into work every morning.
Since I'll be doing it for so long until I retire, it's going to be worthwhile to have something that I enjoy doing.
So then I enjoy my job and I have a good life.
If you have a job you love, you never work a day in your life.
I hope this event has given you a really good idea of what the Careers Hub is about and why it could be so massively important for the young people of Gloucestershire. But for now, over to our live Q&A session. 3, 2. Thank you so much for joining us for the launch this morning. I hope you found it informative, and it's really piqued your interest about what we do here and how you can get involved. We've been taking questions for the last week or so that we're going to answer now. We'll still be looking through the Twitter feed to see if any more come up. If we don't get around to them this morning, we'll get back to anyone that's answered questions as soon as possible. I'm going to take the first one, and the question is, how are you going to support non-hub schools and colleges? Which is a really good question. Our approach has always been to be really inclusive, so we really want to reflect the landscape of Gloucestershire and what that looks like. Realistically, there aren't that many state-funded schools or colleges in Gloucestershire that aren't already in the hub, but the few there are that aren't yet, we're still going to be working with. They're in our network, and they'll get to benefit from all of the communities of practice that we're developing, and all of the learning that's going to be going on from the hub will extrapolate out to these schools and colleges. So hopefully they will see the benefit of the hub too, and they'll come on board. But that's it, yeah. I'm going to hand over now to Alex.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you everyone again. So a question I've got is, at Gloucestershire College, we're passionate about the value of professional development and work experience opportunities. As head of arts and media, we face challenges finding enough meaningful opportunities within the creative industries. So can the Careers Hub support students to link with those creative industries? I think first and foremost, we've seen a lot of concern raised around work experience and virtually and encounters with employers. With everything going on at the minute, and those encounters can't take place and those experiences can't take place, there is a concern that there's going to be a number of students who miss out on the opportunity. So it is something definitely we want to support schools and colleges within the county. I think that question we can just quickly break into two. Looking at work placements as an experience themselves, we are exploring the opportunities around virtual work experience. It's something that is very high priority at the minute in making sure we can still implement those experiences with the students. We're looking at potentially piloting a virtual work experience next year with a number of employers. This is in early stages of development. The key concept around a virtual work experience is that you need to have those multiple meaningful encounters still taking place over virtual means, so that's linking with numerous people within the company. Equally as well, you need some form of project base within that experience, so that the student is developing, learning, and can have an end goal at the end of it that they can present back to the company and get their feedback. There's a lot of new elements in there to make sure it's still a really meaningful encounter and work experience. Linking it to the creative industry, it is an industry that's at the forefront of new concepts that we're trying to link with. Gloucestershire is a great place for creative experiences. We appreciate that it spreads across SMEs, which we really are keen to link up with, but also those larger companies where they have their own internal marketing departments, for example. There could be some really interesting ideas to explore. So we're really keen to link with some new companies, look at potentially what project-based work that we could start to develop and put that into our pilot next year. So it's in early stages, but it's definitely on our hit list to get sorted and get arranged for next year. And we'll be keen to speak with schools and colleges to get an idea of how specifically that's going to work best for them as well. Thank you.
Now to Duncan.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So the question that is on many people's lips and has come through in the questions that we've received over the past couple of days is, what is the LMI offer from the Careers Hub going to look like? This is a really important question because it addresses benchmark 2, and it's something that is going to need to be hardwired into the whole career strategy of each of the schools and colleges that we work with. Essentially, I think we need to probably work it back and examine what are your individual labour market needs as organisations, but also as schools and colleges, what do you actually need from labour market information? And so what we'll be doing over the next couple of months is really to start to unpick what that really means to you in terms of the day-to-day use of labour market information to inform your students about their choices, to look at the bigger picture of what people are doing across the UK, how that's been affected by COVID-19, but specifically addressing it to what things are looking like in Gloucestershire, and how having data and information from authoritative sources can help your students to actually make some decisions and help you in your schools and colleges as practitioners advising young people on their decisions and choice making, to have a reliable set of information to work with. So the way that we'll do that is to, as I say, to look at the data sets, to chunk them down into sources that are helpful to you, and look at the wider set of information that's out there from multitudinous different organisations in different sectors, and touching obviously on what Alex had said about the creative sector, a sector that has received a lot of damage from COVID-19, what current contemporary labour market information is telling us about what's happening to that sector, because we know that an awful lot of young people want to go into that sector. I'm going to hand over to Roxy now for her question.
Thanks, Duncan. So one of the questions I've been asked is how the Careers Hub links to wider county initiatives. So at the moment, as we've touched on in the film, we're working closely with our Gloucestershire Skills Advisory Panel, who work to strengthen the links between employers, schools and colleges. And they're really there to help understand and analyse the current and future needs of the county and the skills that we need to be projecting into the schools and colleges at the moment. That in turn naturally reflects our local industrial strategy, as again we've touched upon in the film, which will support the objectives of the Careers Hub and puts young people at the heart, providing them with experiences and opportunities that they may not have had the opportunity to have had before the Careers Hub was in place. So I think that's what I wanted to add to that question. I don't know if anyone else has anything that they want to chip in on with that one.
I think that covers it. I think the only thing I would say, I had another question from Rebecca, who asked similarly, what other initiatives and programmes in Gloucestershire, such as GFirst, we're going to try and hook up with. And it's very much, cyber is really important for us. It's in our local industrial strategy, and it's a real key skills pathway that we need to develop. I'd like to say watch this space. There's some really interesting and exciting conversations going on between this team and the GFirst and NCSC team about how we can really work together in the future to help young people develop those skills. That's all I'd like to add to that. Thank you. And then over to Lauren. Thank you.
Lovely. Yep, so we've had another question come in here. How are you planning on supporting the schools and colleges with SEND students in the county? So my role specifically already supports the special education needs disability students in the county, as well as the alternative provision schools. As part of that role, we already have a SEND challenge and support group where the 7 community special schools come together along with local partners to support one another and address any issues that they're facing. We're looking to develop this further into a SEND community of practice, which takes the work that we've already been doing and spreads that wider across the county. SEND students aren't just in those specialist provisions, they're also in the mainstream schools as well. So we'll be using that platform as a kind of a spring off of that to address all of the SEND students across the schools and colleges across the county as well. So again, watch this space, it's definitely on the radar and we will be developing in the future. Back to you, Rob.
Fab, thank you. So that just about covers all the questions that we had in. It's worth just reiterating, we've got lots of exciting things in the pipeline, and it's going to be worth checking back with us and hopefully signing up to our newsletter as well, so we do get to keep you informed. What we're working on now is a really good events diary to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing over the rest of this academic year, so we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. That's really it from us. If there's any questions we've missed, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you have any other questions that you'd like to ask us, please do ping us an email. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been nerve-wracking and exciting doing this. It's put us all out of our comfort zones a bit, but that's, I guess, something that's a really good thing. That's what we're asking young people to do all the time. So thank you very much. If this was Careers Hub the musical, the wall would drop away and we go off high kicking to a dance number now. It's not. So we're just going to say goodbye. Thank you very much.